Mayor Pro Tem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3, we have the approval of the minutes of the July 22nd, 2024 City Council meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Item 4, approval of the agenda for the August 12th, 2024 City Council meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any that oppose? Ayes have it. We have public comments with item 5. When you come up, please give us your address. You will have 2 minutes. After you give us your name and your address, the 2 minutes will start. All right, thank you all. And so we're gonna have LaRaven Twitty come forward, please.
Hi, I'm LaRaven Twitty. Address, this is 366 North Church Street. I'm new. Homosexual parades shouldn't be at all. It is very bad and ultimately leads to physical death and spiritual. Revelation 21:8. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters, and all liars, their place will be in the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. Repent, turn from your wicked ways, turn to Jesus. May Jesus bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Twitty. Can you give us your address?
201 Samar Street.
Thank you. John Moore.
John Moore, 397 Gentry Street, Spartanburg, South Carolina, 29303. I'm here today to bring light to the City Council about an issue, a nuisance issues that I have been dealing with since 2019, so about 5 years. The address of that nuisance is 395. The nuisance is so out of control is a 16 by 16 deck rotted off the back of the property, and now it's completely covered. You can't even see the deck. So before, it was completely covered. It was decks in the yard, trash in the yard, 2 dogs in the yard. First, their teeth fell out, then they disappeared. I'm not sure what happened to the dogs, but you know, it's really that much of a problem. I own a property next to it. My tenant is complaining. She's had to get more pest control. I think she said she's seen a homeless guy coming from the backyard. It's just overgrown that much. When I acquired this property by working 3 jobs every weekend. And I suffered a stroke during this time from working so much. So this property is personal to me, with good reasons. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I also want to give credit to the solid waste department. Anytime I make a call with them, they're there the next day, if not that week. And also the Spartanburg Soup Kitchen has a property on Ashford Highway up for sale. It's appraised at $95,000. We have it listed at $85,000. So it's Enterprise Bank and then that property. So I want to let you guys know that and bring the issue with the nuisance to you guys' attention. Thank you, sir.
And that is 395 Gentry.
Yes, 29303. That's in the Beaumont Mill neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Julie Jones.
Hi, friends. Julie Jones, 310 Oleander Lane, Spartanburg, 29302. Yeah. I know many faces up there. I teach at Converse University. My research is in play. I am here just to, one, thank you for your support of TK Gregg's swim team this past summer. One of the aspects of play is playful intelligence. One of the aspects of playful intelligence is egalitarianism. And that is a very big word that means we, not us versus them. I also have 2 teenage girls who are in Boiling Springs. They have been on swim teams since they were 4, but these, because of privilege, right? Because I have a job, I was able to pay the fees for them to be able to go and have that opportunity. I've been a part of the swim league world, but until Liz, who you will hear from later tonight, approached me and said, hey, we're going to do this great thing and have a swim team with no fees. And then we thought, oh, goodness, what about snacks? Snacks were paid for. What about pizza? What about food? Paid for, right? The fact that these children could come and learn water safety and play amongst their peers and enjoy their summer and not have to worry about those things that worry children, right? Like, I don't have the money for a snack, or I don't have a ride, or I don't, like these kinds of things, right? It's in their neighborhood, and it's accessible. I just wanted to, 1, thank you for that. Egalitarianism helps us have a beautiful, playful Spartanburg. And then 2, hope that you continue to support summer league programs like this one in our community.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Tajman Glimp.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tajma Glenf, address 507 Norwood Street. And I am too here standing before you to have my gratitude for the our swim team that's directed by Liz. My son, Carter, who's a graduate, he just graduated off to college. He's been doing swim teams since he was 5, but he's been a part of even back to the swim center. He started his first lesson there, and he's worked at C.C. Woodson and Dr. T.K. Gregg Center through the lifeguard program. So I just wanted to just say thank you for your support, and I hope we're able to continue the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And he graduated from where?
Spartanburg High
Okay.
School. And he's off to Charleston Southern University. Thank you.
Just asking. Thank you, Ms. Glimp. Awesome. Recognition of the City of Spartanburg retiree, MPO J. Van King, Spartanburg Police Department. Man. Wow. A good friend, great person, great family. J. Van, come on down. You making all that noise. J-Van, man, with this, we can go back for quite some time. But I'm gonna stick to the script. I'm gonna stick to the script. For your wife. She's a part of this too. She's back there recording. You want to continue to record? Master Patrol Officer J. Van King. MPO J. Van King began his employment with Spartanburg Public Safety Department, now Police Department, on November the 9th, 1984. You know how old I was back then? Upon graduating and receiving a dual certificate from the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy and the South Carolina Fire Academy, he was assigned to the Uniform Patrol Division as a PSO. His work ethic, productivity afforded him the opportunity to transfer to Community Relations and Crime Prevention Unit, where he worked for 2 years. He was promoted to ranks of sergeant in 1990 and returned to the Uniform Patrol Division. After 2 years supervising and guiding patrol officer, he decided to work as an investigator in the Criminal Investigation Division. It lasted for a short time until he realized his true passion was mentoring young youth in the community. He returned to Community Relation and Crime Prevention Unit as a school resource officer at Dorman High School campus. At that time, Dorman High School was in the city limits of Spartanburg on W.O.E.Z. Boulevard, over at the old Walmart. We all know that. Now, the high school moved to Roebuck. Faculty and staff requested MPO King move with them to the new location, Spartanburg County School District 6, and city officials agreed it was in the best interest of the students. it was in the best interest of the student that we had this agreement with the city and county for J-Van to move out there. That's just impressive. To have MPO King remain as the primary resource officer at Dorman High School. Over his tenure, J-Van has impacted lives of several generations of students. As SRO at Dorman High School, J-Van has been a mainstay at the school and is now serving children of students from his first few years. Master Patrol Officer King continues to work at city special events such as Music on Main, the Spring Fling, and at Piedmont International Fair. He was always posted up near the food vendors. I always tell you, hey, them ribs over there pretty good. Where you going, Bryce? Where you going? MPO J-Van King is a real officer friend. We all remember that term, officer friendly. And the original SRO, as you go back and think about the originals. Original gangster, but original SRO. Mr. King is an icon in this community, and he is a true legend. Therefore, it is with great excitement that we congratulate Master Patrol Officer J-Van King on his retirement after 40 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Spartanburg and for his care and compassion for students in Spartanburg County School District 6. J-Van, man, I mean, truly, you know, we would always get together before a football game. I'm not one to shake your hand after a game, no matter if it's a win or a loss. So J-Van and I would always have an opportunity to talk before the game. You know, early on, I would go looking for him because we would always win. I'm hiding, running away from him. Hey, right. But man, it has truly been a pleasure for me to know you, to know your family. And I know what you meant to children throughout School District 6. You still live over in the community, the kids right across the street. And we're just so happy that you have been a part of this team, for 40 years. Just congratulations to you, man, and appreciate it. J-Van will have a lot of time to get in that Winnebago and go down to them games and tailgate and hopefully City of Spartanburg Outstanding Service Award, special recognition to J-Van King Jr. for his dedication and commitment to the City of Spartanburg, 11/9/1984, 8/15/2020. Congratulations. Someone that's put in 40 years now, the floor is yours.
I just want to thank the city of Spartanburg for allowing me to raise my family and to support my family during this whole time. And it's been a great ride for me, and I've been truly blessed that I did not have to shoot anybody. I'm so glad nobody had to shoot me. So as I looked over my life, it's been a great ride, and I enjoyed it. And I thank the city of Spartanburg and the citizens of Spartanburg, and I hope to continue to be a productive citizen in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great. Man, this is just awesome, but I hate to see y'all police officers. You guys kind of get what I'm saying. Lieutenant Leslie Smith, come on down. You're the next lieutenant. We hate to see these good officers go after so much time in this community. Again, with your Lawrence shirt on, just impacting our children. Really, that's that's what means so much, with the impact that you have on our kids, that they see you in your element and just guiding them and giving them that responsibility. So, but before we get teary-eyed, I look at you over here. Awesome, awesome. Lieutenant Leslie Smith began her employment with the Spartanburg Public Safety Department, now Police Department, on July 1st, 1994. Upon graduating and receiving dual certificates, a certification from the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy and South Carolina Fire Academy, she was assigned to the Uniform Patrol Division as a PSO. She patrolled primarily on the north and south side of town in what is known then as 14 and 22 zone. For all you old heads back there. You remember that, Sue? Yes. Remember that art? 14, 22? In 1998, an opportunity was afforded to transfer to the Narcotics Vice Organization Organized Crime Unit as an investigator. During her tenure in narcotics, she managed to countless investigations that led to identification, apprehension, and prosecution of offenders responsible for drug trafficking in our community. She endured late nights and early mornings responding to neighborhood complaints of drug activity. 5 years passed and she returned to the Uniform Division and was later promoted to sergeant in 2007. After 6.5 years as first line supervisor, she was promoted to the ranks of lieutenant. Since that time, she has been a watch commander on Alpha Platoon, and most recently a watch commander on Charlie Platoon 3rd Shift. In this role, Lieutenant Smith has taken on wonderful responsibility of supervising and mentoring our young officers. She understands the importance of personal development as it pertains to the overall mission, vision, and values of the department. Leslie is an avid race car driver and motorcyclist and displayed her skills during her initial training and successful completion of the police motor operation course. She was one of a couple of female motor officers in the department, recent history to be certified. For 30 years, Lieutenant Smith's dedication to her profession and her compassion for the people was a true indication that she was committed to the city of Spartanburg and to its citizens. Congratulations again, Lieutenant Smith, on your retirement. Thank you for what you've done for our community. Thank you for what you've done for our kids. Thank you for what you do for each and every one of us in the city of Spartanburg. Thank you for your time. City of Spartanburg, South Carolina, Outstanding Service Award, special recognition to Leslie Smith for her commitment and dedication and commitment to the city of Spartanburg, 7/1/1994, 8/7/2020. That was 30 years that was put in. And with that time that you've given us, we're welcome to give you some time to speak to everybody.
I was honored to serve the city of Spartanburg. It was awesome. I would do it over again if I had a chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, you gotta have some more in the ranks, man. We need some good ones. There's some good ones that's retiring and have done their time, but no, I understand, but really, we do appreciate those two that just retired greatly. Special recognitions. That's a special presentation and update by Regenesis Healthcare. Presenter, you do not look like Dr. Marlon Hunter by any means, Sierra. So thank you, and give us a presentation.
Yes, sir. Well, good evening. I am Sierra Kelly, Chief of Staff and Community Engagement at Regenesis Healthcare. It is an honor to represent my CEO, Mr. Marlon Hunter, as well as our Board of Directors today. Our mission remains the same: to provide patient-centered, affordable, and accessible healthcare in partnership with the communities we serve. Last week, we celebrated Health Center Week. Health Center Week is an opportunity to thank our staff, our partners, our patients, but more importantly, you, our stakeholders. Health centers play a critical role across our nation, and we deliver over 31.5 million people together with a healthcare system. Health centers drive economic growth, provide cost savings to the medical industry by reducing the needs of healthcare services. Health centers work in partnership with healthcare payers, hospital systems, the private sectors, and all levels of government to address and respond to critical needs in our community. We are blessed to have a health center right here in Spartanburg. Partnerships are critical, and you, City Council, have been critical to our growth, challenging us to meet the needs of our community and supporting us along the way. Last year, we started a men's breakfast and a women's luncheon, and with the support of our great mayor, he has challenged us to bring men and women together for better health. And we have taken that challenge seriously, and we hope to continue to break down barriers differently. We have grown across our county. We now deliver prescriptions. We transport patients for appointments. We've added primary care to Duncan. Our pharmacy department has exploded. Of course, we now have a new office in Langdon. We're building one in Woodruff. Additionally, we have expanded Church Street, and now we're getting ready to expand Gaffney. We now have community health workers internally to work with patients and to address barriers by providing those resources. This year, we've added 10 new schools as far as our behavioral health program. And so now that brings us almost to 40 counselors within our community that are providing counseling within the school system. We have truly grown at Regenesis Healthcare. But none of the growth would be possible without you, City Council. Today, I have a plaque to thank you for your unwavering support, challenging us and supporting us today. So we would like to say from Regenesis Healthcare, thank you.
Thank you.
And so our plaque today says, Health Center Week 2024 Stakeholder Appreciation, presented to Spartanburg City Council for your continued support and support of our community. We thank you, Regenesis Healthcare, for supporting access across our community. And so we have just this great plaque for you today.
Thank you. Sierra, thank you. Thank you for the great job and the great work that Regenesis is doing, not only in the city of Spartanburg, throughout Spartanburg County. And we do see it, everywhere. We do see you guys everywhere. So thank you.
Thank you.
Park and Recreation Special Event Update. Presenter will be Ms. Kim Brown. She will pass off to her team as she sees fit. You may want to give it a minute as they clear out. You couldn't even understand what she was saying.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. We thank you so much for giving us a chance to give you some updates from Parks, Recreation, and Special Events, and somewhat of a glimpse of what we have planned for the upcoming year. First, we'd like to say, with today being the first day of school across most of the county, we certainly hope that all of the kids, the teachers, and the parents had a wonderful start to the school year. But that also means an end to much of our summer programming. So I'm joined today with several of our staff members to give you some updates and to give you, in particular, 3 highlights into some of our programs that we really feel strongly about. I will start off, and I'll be joined by several staff members, and they'll introduce themselves.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll get started with some of the special events that we've had in the past, what we got coming up. So Music on Main is the first big special event series that we kind of start with. Music on Main starts in April and runs every single Thursday from April through July. It's held at Morgan Square from 5:30 to 8:30. Some things that you can kind of expect when coming out, different varieties of music and entertainment, lots of food vendors, more so like dessert style vendors, whether it's food trucks or if they just want to come pop up with their tent and serve like that. So that is, like I said, Music on Main from April through July every single Thursday. Then we have First Fridays. First Fridays, that was something new. It was like an experiment, so to say, just to kind of get an idea of what people enjoy. So this was every single Friday, not every Friday, every first Friday from April through June. So the first Friday in April, first Friday in May, and the first Friday in June. And with First Fridays, the very first one that we had was a movie night. We played Wonka, just kind of get an idea of what people kind of like, got good feedback. That Friday that we had in May, we did a silent disco, which was pretty cool. A lot of good feedback from that as well. And then in June, we did a paint your pet portrait theme night. So that was pretty cool. And so we worked with the artists, and people could submit their portraits of their pets. And then they would all come together that night and do like a painting together. So that was pretty cool. Then we have Spring Fling. I don't really think Spring Fling needs much of an introduction. I think we all know what Spring Fling is, but Spring Fling is definitely one of the, I would say, biggest festivals that really take place in the upstate of South Carolina. Usually it's that last weekend in April. It was from April the 26th through the 28th. That Friday, we kicked it off with the bike race, as well as food vendors. So it was from 5 to 10. That Saturday on the 27th is the official date. And that was from 11 to 9. So it's an all-day thing. 3 to 4 entertainment stages, lots and lots of food, plenty of vendors. It's a great time. Then we have Juneteenth. Juneteenth, this is our 3rd year doing it. It's from June 13th through the 15th. That Thursday, we typically have like an educational portion or piece, so to say, at Wofford College. We play, or this year, we had a video presentation followed along with a panel discussion, which was pretty cool. Friday, we do a block party downtown Spartanburg between Broad Street and Spring Street from 6 to 10. And then Saturday is the official festival, and that is from 4 to 10. Again, expect lots of entertainment, lots of food, lots of vendors. Then we have Red, White, and Boom. It is the 4th of July celebration that we have at Barnett Park. What I think is very unique about the Red, White, and Boom celebration is we're one of the only cities around here that actually have it not only on the 4th, but actually do fireworks. So people always come out and have a good time at Red, White, and Boom. And that is all that I have. Pass it along to Parks and Rec. Oh, okay, yeah, so I was gonna keep it a surprise. I guess we'll go ahead and tell everybody what we got coming up. So, also, we had a lot of rain out dates for Music on Main this year. More than we normally have. We felt kind of bad. We had 4, and it was already shorter this year, slightly shorter series. So, we decided on September the 1st to do a Music on Main encore night, or day. So, from 12 to 9, all of the rain out dates that we had, we're going to bring all of the bands back and also make a big deal about it. You know, we're going to make a big deal about it because we hated that we had so many cancellations. So we're going to bring those bands back, a couple of food vendors, a couple of vendors that may want to come out and sell some things. something like that. Something very, very similar. We're still trying to kind of figure out how to put it all together and make it come together. And so we're also going to bring back Jazz on the Square. We haven't done it since 2019. This will also be downtown Morgan Square starting in September. So every Friday in September, we'll have Jazz on the Square from 5:30 to 8. I think the community would really appreciate that. We've gotten several phone calls, emails, voicemails about when are we gonna bring Jazz back. So we're excited that we can bring Jazz back as well as doing the Music on Main Encore. So that's all that I have.
Excuse me, what date is the museum made in September?
September the 1st. It's a Sunday. It'll be from 12 to 9.
Sunday, fun day.
It's Labor Day weekend.
Sunday, yeah, Labor Day weekend. Good.
Okay. Hi, hello. My name is Jasmine Patan. I'm the Youth Development Coordinator for Parks and Recreation. So I'll just be talking about some of our programming that we have going on in our parks and community centers. Starting with our 50+ senior citizens events and programs. We've been trying to tap more into this demographic of our community members. So we have both 2 senior programs that run at Dr. TK Gregg Community Center and CC Woodson. They do a lot of things between senior karaoke. They'll go on trips. We've taken them to the Greensboro Dinner Theater, as well as the International African American Museum down in Charleston. That was probably one of their favorite trips. They've requested to go back again and again and again and again. We have bingo every 3rd Friday of every month. This year, we started a Black History Month book club. The seniors over at CC Woodson requested it. So you can see in this middle picture down on the bottom, they all came and they dressed up as an author or a poet. And then they gave like a report or a presentation on it. So that was very interesting to kind of see them do that. We have Love Fest, which is around Valentine's Day over at CC Woodson. And then we also had the senior fashion show, which one of our seniors at CC Woodson, she was 103, Miss Hazel, and she rocked it. I don't know if you've seen any videos, but you definitely have to look at it. She did a great job. Our early childhood and family programming, so we have every out of school day. You know what they say about idle minds. We'd like to have them in the building rather than just kind of out doing something crazy. So over at CC Woodson, we hold the elementary day camp that runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then from 1 to 5, we have the teen camp over at TK Gregg. So we have those during spring break, winter break, Thanksgiving, and all of those are free for all the city residents and non-city residents. And then we also have a new pilot program which started this year called Book Smart. This is a literacy program put on by one of our rec coordinators, Ashad Rector, over at TK Gregg. So he's actually grown that partnership with a couple of schools now. So he goes into schools like Cleveland and Meeting Street, and he reads a selected book to a class. But the programs that are held at the community center, it's family oriented. So the child comes in with their parents, they read the book together, and then they do an activity. Kind of like what one of the parents had mentioned around play. We want to be able to kind of build that family unit so that they can play together, learn together, and then the parent can see their child develop right before their eyes. And then we also have swim lessons, private and through the school. So we started with Cleveland Academy, and we've now extended it to Meeting Street. This year we'll be doing Mary H. Wright as well as the Viking Early College. And then through our youth sports, so we have itty bitty baseball, basketball, soccer, youth football, basketball, some fundamental camps like tennis, t-ball, and then we also have our summer camp, which this year, I want to say, at least in the 2 years that I've been working for the city, we reached maximum capacity at TK Gregg for both both sessions. So our maximum capacity is 100 youth. So we had 100 kids at TK, and then we reached capacity in session 1 at CC, and we were at 80 kids in session 2. So we served over 200 kids this summer, which was really awesome. It was really great to see. The summer camp counselors did a great job, and the center directors did a great job kind of keeping the staff together. And then we have our mobile play truck days, which Ms. Wanda Cheeks supervises over, and she goes out to the different parks in the community and with the mobile play truck and has days for them to come out and play. And then we have our youth programming for our older 12 to 18-year-olds. So we have our teen outreach programs. Teen outreach program is a curriculum that's ran through Connect Spartanburg. It's based on social emotional learning with an emphasis on service learning opportunities as well. So we have 4 of those programs that run in our community centers. Beauty with Blake, which is a self-care enrichment program. The Exploring program, which is a partnership with Scouts USA. They do a lot of exploring through Parks and Rec and things like that, and career exploration. We have Iron Sharp, which is a male mentoring program. Swim Club, which we run through Carver Middle School. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have a group that registers through the school. We teach them water safety skills, how to swim if they don't learn or if they don't know. And then that's kind of a pipeline for them to be able to become junior lifeguards and then lifeguards and work for us in Parks and Recreation. And then U Day is a celebration for all of the kids in the county that are in a part of top programs. So we actually had that at TK Gregg this year. And the kids did a tree planting community service project. So they planted a bunch of trees out behind TK Gregg. And then we have a partnership with National Youth Leadership Council, and so they are doing a peace building solution. We have an awesome group of young teenagers who are leading that up, and they're doing a community drive. So if you go to any of our community centers, you will see their donation box set up. I strongly encourage you guys to please come and donate. They've worked really hard for this. They plan it all themselves, so this is their voice, what they're passionate about, so we just want the community to be able to support them in that. And then we also had a Bolt Leadership. We took 4 young teens down to Disney, and they had a leadership conference, which they were a part of. We had SAIL, the Spartanburg Academy of Innovative Youth Leaders, which I'll touch on a little bit later. Our junior lifeguards, who are lifeguards in training, and then we have different teen events, teen nights. We had a college fair this year. We're hoping to do one again this year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And then the sneaker ball, which is just an end of the year celebration for all the kids who are graduating. And then community center programs. So we have swim lessons, Splash Without Cash, which was free swim lessons provided to community members. Easter extravaganza, which was an underwater Easter egg hunt. We had a huge turnout for that. Water aerobics. We have a new partnership with Hub City Roots and POW, the Fresh Stop. So they bring fresh fruits and vegetables. The fridge is empty within 2 days of them filling it up. So it's been a really great project. It's helped out a lot of people have access to the foods and the vegetables that they may not have had access to before. We have line dancing, yoga, Zumba, a HIIT class with Tonda Barber, and then just our other seasonal events where we can give back to the community. So Love Fest, Fall Festival, our holiday dinners, which I've seen a lot of you at for Christmas and Thanksgiving, and then our Breakfast with Santa event for the little ones around Christmas. And then I'll go ahead and jump into the program highlights. So this is SAIL, the Spartanburg Academy of Innovative Youth Leaders. So this is for rising freshmen through rising seniors who live within the city limits. They focus on public leadership, service, community engagement, volunteerism. So it's a 6-week program where we just take them out into the community and we teach them just everything about community engagement. And we want them to be able to advocate for themselves, advocate for the community, and really teach them how to have a voice and how to be young leaders in a world where it's kind of hard to be a leader amongst your peers. So this year we did a lot of really great stuff. We got to tour the new police department, which I think that was probably my favorite day. I didn't realize all the technology that they had in there. It was very cool. We'll take them kayaking. We'll go to the Glendale Outdoor Leadership School. We'll take them to the State House, put them in front of different community members who can give them, teach them something that they may not have had the opportunity to learn without them joining the program. And then at the end of the program, they do receive a stipend of $500 for completing the program. So we had 10 great graduates, one of them who's actually here today. We have multiple SAIL graduates in the room today. So if you were in SAIL, can you please stand up? Before, previously, and this year. I will turn it over to Ms. Wanda Cheeks, who will talk about exploring youth.
Jasmine, before you step down, I wanted everyone to know that Jasmine just graduated from Clemson with her master's degree in youth development.
Yes.
And Jasmine, it's such a joy to get to work with you through the Spartanburg academic movement and see you take that step. You've been working hard for several years now, so very proud of you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Wanda Cheats, and I wanted to talk about the program Highlight Exploring You. It's one of the youth programs that we created about 4 years ago, and we started it at the Dr. T.K. Gregg, and then the year after we did it at the Cleveland Leadership Academy. Last year we did it at the library, and this year we did it at the Wofford College classroom. That's connected to the Northside Development Group. We do that on purpose to make sure that they explore our city before they start going into the SAIL program. We thought we needed a program for ages 11 through 13-year-olds. So it gives the opportunity for the SAIL students who graduated to come back and share their experiences, and then also for the community to learn more about their next steps in transitioning into high school. So it's mainly geared for middle school. This year we partnered with South Carolina State. They did a lot of STEM programs. They came from the 1890 Exploring program. And also we built the Lego community, which we donated those final builds to our champions in our community, the fire department, the police department, the sanitation department, and also a couple of hotels and car washes. You know, so the kids built these things with some of our leaders in our community, and everybody came over and visited and chose what they wanted to get. We're still delivering some pieces, so you might get one sometime soon. Learning opportunities with Macmillan, Pasdan, Smith Architectural, and Carolina Spine Health. So we asked them, what kind of opportunities would you like to go and see? And those are some of the things that they thought that they would like to go see, architect company, and learn about the spine and health. And then also we visited Contact too, and ended up going fishing there this Saturday at their private pond. So that was a really good experience. They learned how to play pickleball. It was a sight to see. Because I remember being that young and having all that energy, and I was like, do I want to go and learn this? But no, I let them do that, and I did a lot of the transportation and stuck with what I do, transporting the mobile play truck over there and cooking. So we're always trying to find new partnerships. I think we have the next one. That's the TK.
Hello, I'm Liz Walker, a Recreation Supervisor for City of Spartanburg. Program highlight, Dr. T.K. Gregg, Tiger Sharks. Before I go into that, I want to talk about where we started with aquatics at TK Gregg and got to this point where we have a swim team. I remember in 2019 talking to Kim about wanting a swim team at TK Gregg. We knew we were going to have 2 indoor pools. Why could we not have a swim team? And just thinking about what the goals of the members of the team were. We wanted it to be families that liked swimming, that wanted to swim, but maybe they didn't think swim team was for them. Maybe it was because the people on most swim teams don't look like them. Or maybe it was because of the affordability. Swim teams cost a lot. The suits cost a lot. You have to pay for caps, memberships to a neighborhood pool, and then memberships to the swim teams. So I knew that could be a barrier for some people wanting to be on a swim team. So that was a priority for the members. And then moving into other things that got us to this point also. In 2021, fall of 2021, we had started having programming at TK Gregg in the pool. We had water aerobics morning and afternoons, and we had school lessons with Cleveland Academy. Most of those lessons at that point were taught by full-time community center staff, not necessarily an aquatic team. We were still, trying to build that up. And then moving to 2022, we started having swim lessons in the summer at TK Gregg. We had 2 instructors. We taught ages 3 to 12, only had 6 classes offered at TK Gregg. And then you fast forward to this past summer of 2024, of where we are now, to where we had, with 6 instructors, we're teaching ages 6 months through adults. We had 22 different classes offered at TK Gregg alone in 2024. We still had classes in the summer at CC Woodson, but in TK Gregg went from 6 classes and then 22 classes in 2 years, where we are now. And then with the swim team, adding this summer also. To get us to this point, we had to have certain people in place. I had to have people that helped me with computer stuff for Spartanburg Swim League. In 2019, I didn't know a lot about it. My kids were on other teams. And then the last couple years, my kids started swimming for another team in the Spartanburg Swim League. Then I began looking into it more, researching it. I'm like, why can't we do this at TK? I need to have these things in place, these people in place to make this happen. Other board members from other swim league teams were asking me, like, hey, have you thought about TK having a team? I was like, I have, we just need a little bit more time to get this together. And then, we're asked again. I was like, yes, we're in. And I had already contacted some friends from the team we were on before. I was like, hey, computer stuff with all the meets and all that stuff. I was like, so if you can help me with that, yes. They said yes. I talked to Taj McGlimp. Like, can you help me with this? With your knowledge as a swim team parent for years. She said yes. I had Carter, obviously was one of our lifeguards at CC Woodson, had very extensive swim team background, Spartanburg High School swimmer and summer swim league. Can you help me coach this summer? He said yes. We also had several people on our aquatic team already that were instructors. They were on board. We have our head coach here, Scott Thurston, that kind of, I want to say, fell into our lap a year ago. He had former aquatic director experience, started a swim team from scratch at his old location. And so I'd asked him, and he's like, yeah, let's do this. So all those things combined got us to that first step of just saying, yes, we're in, we're gonna have this swim team. And then we had 3 schools that we were teaching school lessons throughout the year. So I talked to them, their parent-teacher organization meetings in the morning to try to get them involved, talk to students directly to try to get them on our team, and then somehow we ended up with 40 kids on our swim team, not knowing how we were going to start, how many kids we needed. Started with a lower number, so it wouldn't be overwhelming for me, mostly doing the background stuff. 40 kids on our swim team. Our goal, the coach's goals and my goal for the team was to have the kids improve skills, to have fun, to have the community sense feeling, not necessarily to win. We were a new team. We had kids on our team who didn't know butterfly was a stroke before they got on the swim team, much less knew how to swim it. So, winning was not necessarily our goal, but all of those other things. And the coaches that we had in place, Liam, Olivia, Carter, Scott, made this team that feel of community between the parents and the children. And we had a blast this summer. And we actually won some. We didn't win as a team, as a meet, but we won events. We had at the final meet, which is all the teams combined, all the neighborhood pools, Hillbrook, Fernwood, Willis Road Y, Country Club, all of them, and some other ones, they come together. We have a meet where you're competing against everyone. We had one of our 11, 12-year-old boys. He actually came in second place in the meet overall of having the most points scored for that day. We had like probably 6 or 8 kids that actually, they won first, second, or third in their event, and that's against easy like 40 other children that they won. And then a couple of 5-year-olds in that mix also. So we met our goals of improvement, of having fun, gaining confidence in their skill strokes, having that sense of the community. So we're looking forward to our next season. And we've started a Tiger Shark Swim Club in the off season that is just to keep our team going. Because parents were like, okay, well, this is the last meet, then what? Like, what are we doing next? The kids are wanting to keep swimming. It was like, okay, we'll figure that out by the time we have our banquet. And so we did, and we laid out dates for them and had a fun time at our banquet. We had a slideshow, food, and then they just love being together and having that camaraderie and receiving their medals and their trophies for improvement. So that's all I have.
So as you decide whether or not you have some questions or comments for us, I wanted to include this slide because in addition to the support that we receive from council, city management, 2 of the biggest reasons why we're able to do the programming that we do is because of the partners that we have and the staff that we have. Our staff, we are highly trained and very enthusiastic about the work that we do. And so that combination, I think, makes for a community-based programming model that we look to have and we look to continue as we grow our young people in particular, but then also grow our programming throughout the school year. So I wanted to see if you have any questions. And we probably have some other staff members who did not present with us here. So if you're a staff member and you did present, if you would also stand up for us. Simone is here. Any questions or comments?
Kim, have the kids stand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. And so we do have some youth participating in some of our summer camps, our swim team, our top program. So one of the things that I always like to point out is we like to in some ways grow our own talent. So you'll see with Carter and his sister, as his mother mentioned, they've been a part of our programming for such a long time, and there are other young people who are part of SAIL, and then they become interns, they become mentees, and then they become city staff members. And so that's what we look to do. We want to keep that talent close to us because they know us the best, and they trust us, and we want to be their first employers.
Questions, it's for the little ones. Councilwoman Littlejohn is gonna wanna take a picture at the end, so don't y'all go anywhere. Y'all gonna take a picture, you'll be in a newsletter. But you have any comment?
I would love for them to come up front now to take a picture with Kim.
Okay.
For the news, real fast, because that's what everybody else ain't.
Any other questions or comments?
I know, yes, go ahead, Councilman Rain.
Kim, thanks for the presentation and all that you guys do, and especially all that you guys have done with baseball at Duncan Park. I've been there a lot coaching. I know that part of our ARPA funding previously approved was the Duncan Park enhancements, and just wanted to get an update on schedule, how that's going.
Certainly. So I think we just decided today on a groundbreaking for those improvements. It will be September the 5th. But just a little bit of background of that. So in our programming in Parks and Rec, we provide fundamental programming for, in particular, youth baseball. And we have 2 partners, Youth Sports Bureau, who helps us on the fundamental side. But then we funnel those kids to Hillbrook leagues who play competitively. So our position in the program in the partnership is to ready our kids, get them ready, get them to understand the baseball culture, and then move them on to Hillbrook where they can kind of hone those skills and then do some competitive baseball playing.
Any other questions, guys?
So we're breaking ground. That's going. The broader Duncan Park improvements are starting in September.
September the 5th is the groundbreaking for the Little League field in the area there.
What it,
Yes. Oh.
Y'all see? Should we stand up?
I hope they crop us out. Before you sit down, just a comment, not necessarily a question. I'm always have been very involved with Park and Rec. You know, growing up here, I was involved with it as a youth, so it's definitely important for me to continue some of these. I can tell you from the fruit over there that I can go grab me an apple or something, and I maybe shouldn't be taking the apples, but I always can have the opportunity. But from itty bitty, whatever it is, from baseball and soccer, just a great time. As I went out this past summer and hit balls with some of the itty bitty kids out there, 3-year-olds out there really trying to hone their skills. Playing bingo with some of the seniors at TK Gregg. I mean, the activities go on. I get, if the water's not warm enough for water aerobics, I get a call from my mother-in-law, going from Miss Wanda Cheeks and her seniors that are graduating or talking to the teens throughout. And I can go on and on about what you guys do. But the swim thing was major. The swimming piece was major, and talking with Liz and having 40 kids participate in the teams that we're going up against, 120, 130 other swimmers that we take our 40 and we're competing. We're competing. Scott, you told me about the 5-year-old that you had to walk down with before, and you told him that next meet, you're swimming on your own, and he swam on his own. And I think about all that and think about the Olympics. And I found myself watching the women breaststroke. And I'm telling you, it's because I watched these kids swim. I watched these kids swim. I didn't know anything about a women's breaststroke. I did know it was a stroke. I knew it was a swim. But, you know, honestly, I mean, just truly being transparent. And I'm sure some of our kids watch more in the Olympics than just basketball. Because I love basketball, and I'm glad we won. But I found myself watching the swim, the diving, and all of it. So just kudos and thank you guys, man. Reggie with the special events, thank you. Again, Wanda, Jasmine, the whole team, Simone, thank you guys. Thank you for what you do to our young people in this community. Thank you.
I'll add, I was at one of the later swim meets at the end of the year, and I find it hard to believe that you wouldn't have believed that they didn't know how to swim breaststroke at the beginning of the season, because the kids looked great, and it was competitive, and they were awesome and enthusiastic.
Very much so. Councilwoman Brown.
Mr. Mayor, just one other comment that struck me as you were giving the presentation, not only with the events, but the programs, is the collaborative nature by which you and your folks go about your work. I mean, just look at this partnership list. You know, this is what we talk a lot about, is the collaboration and working together and you know, playing above our weight as a community in so many different ways. But you know, this is really fantastic stuff, and the list is exhaustive of the events and the programs, but the partnerships is important as well.
Mr. Mayor, just to your point, thank you, Kim, for all that you do and your team. But to your point about, you know, seeing young people, you know, our council looks a little bit different than years ago when we voted on whether or not we would have an indoor swim center at TK Gregg. And it was a very close vote, one of which I fought very hard for. And it's about equity and accessibility. I know for myself, growing up as a military kid, I had access to swim lessons and all the things, but to your point about having swimmers, and seeing these Olympians on TV and seeing our black and brown communities and knowing that you can do that as well. And I think it also speaks to the safety. We know that, the drowning incidents for black and brown youth versus, their white peers, it's a huge difference. And so I think that it's not just accessibility and creating opportunities for our communities and our young people, but also it's a safety factor as well. So I know I can't remember who all was, I think Ruth, you were there maybe, but that was a very close vote. So we're very, very blessed to have this.
Yeah, thank you. And go.
I was married when I learned how to swim. So I am grateful to you for the opportunities that these kids have. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All of you.
Yep.
For the
I
work
think
that
it's,
you're doing.
excuse me, I'm sorry. But I do think it's a wonderful partnership too, that we have them swimming during the school day from Cleveland, Meeting Street, and now Mary H. Wright. And they said the VEC, I think she said the VEC will be joining as well. So again, outstanding job. Thank you.
Thank you, and you guys should give yourselves credit also. There aren't many community-based programming agencies across the state that's all they do. And so we're very fortunate that you guys have led us in that direction. And it's something that we believe still holds true, that, we have to take care of our community through our programming.
Good. And Reggie, I will keep this secret that Kim and I only know, but we're gonna have a big announcement possibly tomorrow. But it's a good one. It's a big secret. No, you don't know what it is. It's a big one. Got you on the edge of your seat. Thank you, guys. Where are we? 10? Yes. Presentation regarding the new My Spartanburg app. Mr. Christopher George, Communications Director, City of Spartanburg. Thank you, young folks. Have a great day at school. Tomorrow, great week.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I'm here tonight to talk about a new tech tool that we have. Well, newish. We launched this spring, gave it a little bit of a soft launch, but it has gotten some good traction so far. Our folks have gotten used to it so far. It is My Spartanburg. So this is a mobile request app. It is a replacement for a product that we had before. That we first launched in 2014. We were way ahead of the curve on that one. We went with at that time, a small startup firm that was later purchased by a larger company that was basically just wanted the product so they could put it on a shelf, and that led to some issues on our end. We didn't get the kind of support we wanted. We didn't get updates. Sometimes you'd get a new phone operating system and we'd get folks contacting us and telling us, all of a sudden the app doesn't work, and it'd go for weeks like that. So we moved on and launched this app earlier this year in March. It's the same firm that did our website for us, Civic Plus, and it was, again, launched in March. And it allows people to request a variety of city services. Public Works is a big one for us, sidewalk repair, grounds maintenance requests, signage issues, garbage and recycling is probably one of the bigger categories. Jess will talk more about that in just a second. Code enforcement's another one, in Parks and Rec as well. It routes requests to the appropriate staff member automatically. So, and Jess will talk about how we worked that out, but essentially, when folks submit a request, it emails the person in our system responsible for handling those requests. And our goals for it, we really had three main goals with this. One is to reduce call volume. That's both for our people, but it's also for folks who are calling us, because often they don't know what department they need, so they'll call the main number and they might get routed around a little bit, and they end up kind of frustrated about that, understandably so. And with this tool, you can submit a request and it goes straight to the person, and then you get a notification that your request was received, and you can follow updates throughout that process. It allows for greater transparency and accountability. So residents get notifications again when the request is received. They get another one later on when the request is completed. Also, our staff members can chat with them and let them know about how that process is working, like we're looking into it, we're at this step of things. And that varies by request because, you know, different things are handled different ways. But there's a two-way kind of conversation that can happen there. And then that kind of gets into the other part of it, which is it's also an educational tool. So folks submit issues to us all the time that might be an SCDOT road, and they have no idea that that's the case. Or it might be, you know, water or sewer, manhole cover sort of thing is something we get a lot. Well, that's Spartanburg Water. Well, in the process of routing that request over to those agencies, we can also let those folks know that this is who handles this. And so, you know, it's one at a time kind of educational thing, but it helps. You know, maybe they'll tell their neighbors about it and things like that. So it's helpful that way. So a quick how it works. So first, you search for the My Spartanburg app in the Apple or Android App Store. Download it. The app is free. We got that question before. I think it'd be a terrible idea to charge for an app like that. But hit the new request button. You have an option to take a photo or use one from your photo library. So if you are out and about, don't have time to submit the request right then, you take the photo. You can submit it later, and then you go to review location. That either takes the location where you are right now, if you took the photo where you are, or it takes the location data from the phone. So if you were at home or somewhere else later on, it will take the location data from the photo that you upload. So you don't have to search around for a pin on a map or anything. It should automatically show you that. And the other important thing about that location, this is geofenced, so if you are outside the city limits, you can't submit a request. And that's helpful in that, you know, folks call us all the time and they don't realize that an issue is technically outside the city. This, it's not even an option. You can't submit something to us. So there's a little bit, hopefully, of an educational purpose there as well. So after that, you select the appropriate category. Those are pretty well laid out for folks, but even if you get it wrong and you submit it to the wrong place, that person can then reroute it over to who it should go to. And then fifth, you write a short description of the issue you're reporting and hit submit. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Jess real quick, and she's going to talk about some of the more details about working with our staff and some of the marketing efforts that we've done here as well.
Look at that. All right, hang on. Can you hear me? Okay, so first of all, implementation, how we implemented the app. We got a lot of feedback both from the C-Click Fix, which is the app, I guess, company, the parent company being Civic Plus, who does our website. Got a lot of feedback from what other local governments do, and a whole lot of feedback from our own team. What are your most common requests? How do people phrase them when they call in something? How do they tell us what they're trying to ask for? Because we want to make it really user-friendly. And also a big shout out to our team, because they answered all my questions and they were very responsive and they were there, and I greatly appreciate that. We held multiple training sessions. We did test runs. We did a lot of troubleshooting, like a lot of preliminary, hey, this is a test. If you go into the back end, you still see me putting in tests. Hey, just FYI, this is a test. Go ahead and close it out because we're still working as we go. We're continuing to modify. Just this past week with the bad weather, we actually had some modifications with tree hazards. We realized that when trees are down blocking public roads, people will get on the app and report it at 10 o'clock at night, and grounds maintenance can't really do anything about that. So we realized that we needed to go ahead and put in a little question, a prompt to let people know, hey, if this is blocking a public roadway, this is considered an emergent issue. Do not report it using the My Spartanburg app. It's not an emergency reporting thing. So we continue to modify as we go. We've gotten a lot of great feedback, both from our internal staff and from residents. Most of the feedback is it's helping with workflow. It's very efficient. Prompt is one that I see a lot. You get faster response times. You don't have to worry about, hey, did somebody take my message and get it to the right person and get it to the right team? You get a prompt response and a prompt fix for your issue. It's very efficient, and the GPS is precise, which I thought was kind of a neat compliment, that the GPS is really, it's showing you exactly where that issue is, both for our staff and for the user. Common request types, we can report those based on month, and you can see that in June we had a lot of garbage recycling roll cart violations. That's been a learning experience for our internal team. What constitutes a violation? Why are y'all smiling?
Because Ruth probably submitted every single one of
It
them.
was not. I can see on the back end who it is. So, I mean, I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but the roll cart was tipped over is one that we see. There was litter coming off the roll cart. The trash truck might have dropped something inadvertently. Stuff like that. We see visual obstructions, overgrown grass, your typical complaints that you're going to get from residents, sidewalks being broken, manhole covers missing. That allows our staff to get those to Spartanburg Water because those are primarily handled by Spartanburg Water. In July, we saw a lot of sidewalk blocked. A lot of sidewalks have cracks in them, so our staff's been working around the clock to repair those broken sidewalks. Tree hazards have been happening quite a bit lately, of course, because of the weather. Potholes are always going to happen. I'm a little surprised that potholes were so low on the list in June, but they're coming more and more. A lot of those are going to be SCDOT roads because the city maintains excellent road quality. All right, just want to say that. Visual obstruction, there's a shrub blocking my view. With all the rain we've been having, the shrubs are growing like crazy, so you're going to see that. Equipment broken is primarily at parks, recreation facilities. You're going to see equipment broken on some of the playgrounds and stuff like that. So the Kim's team does a great job of responding to those. Features of the app, it enables staff and residents to communicate with one another. It allows for direct communication. If somebody reports something, they send a picture, they say, this is the problem. Our staff can then go in and say, great, thank you, we have it. They've acknowledged it. But if they need some follow-up information, they can easily get it by responding directly to the resident who has submitted the request. So you can get some pretty good information from that. Provides immediate reporting capabilities, like Christopher said. You're out there, you see something, you take a picture, and then boom, you can go ahead and report it, go on about your day, and you can be confident that the correct staff has received that concern, that the right staff got the right information, and you don't have to sweat it later on. You don't have to worry about going back and where was it that I saw that tree down, that kind of thing. It allows residents to see when the request is received and completed. Our staff is asked to go in and acknowledge every single request that comes in. Once the staff acknowledges it, then that is that resident's cue that, yeah, somebody heard you. And I think a lot of times when it comes to public service, it's very important that people hear you. You want to know, am I being heard? Does the government actually care what I have to say? It reduces duplicate requests, which again goes back to that efficiency that our team is really excited about. You can see whenever you go to report something, oh, hey, this guy already reported this tree's down. I don't need to sweat it. Somebody's got it. So it does help and cut back on that quite a bit. We have data-driven results. The app does allow us to pull reports, which I am pulling monthly and sending to city leadership. So that means all y'all. I mean, if y'all want it. Ask Chris Story. He'll forward it to you. It's a great feature. It cements our commitment to accountability and transparency. You can see the types of issues that are reported, and I know this is pretty hard to see, but I can certainly forward it to you, or Chris Story's happy to do that. How long staff takes to acknowledge a concern, that's an important data point. You know, we want to know how long does it take our staff to review the app requests and then do something about it, how long to close requests. That is helpful in two ways. One is, does this work take a really long time to do? Does it take a sidewalk repair or a pothole fill longer than the average? Does it take, you know, a long time for a reason? Is it just because we're not seeing these requests in time? Is it because our workload is heavy? Sometimes you might have a department that immediately closes a request. Well, that's a little bit of a flag. We're not being accountable to residents if we close it the second we get it, because that means we're not exploring and actually opening up the issue and looking into it. So the data is super helpful, and the more we get people to adopt the app and use it, and the more staff we have using the app, we're gonna see more and better quality data. And we have been doing a lot of marketing. As it turns out, my title is marketing manager, so I have been marketing. You'll see about the app on social media. We've got this great branding, super cute little rhyme scheme from annoyed to overjoyed. You know, wouldn't you be overjoyed by seeing a non-overflowing trash can? We've got yard signs that we're putting up along trails and in the parks, mostly the heavily used parks, but I've got plenty of extras, so if you want one, give me a holler and I'll take it wherever you tell me to. We've done some public speaking engagements. We talked about the app on the City Podcast, so if you're not a regular listener of the City Podcast, I highly recommend that you check out that particular episode. We've got some A-frame signs we just ordered that we're gonna have downtown at events, and we are doing some videos where Christopher and I are both starring actors. So that tells you we need some more people in our team, guys. We've got some videos that are going to be on social media, and we're going to have them running in the NCG theaters. And I believe that Christopher is going to show you one of those videos. Not with us in it, don't worry. That was starring Stephen Vaughn, our downtown ambassador. He is a top-notch actor there.
Jess, I just want to say to you and Christopher, thank you both for implementing this for us. It's worthwhile not getting that extra call and then making another call to these guys. So I appreciate it.
Makes your lives easier, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And to that point, I know like the police department provides us on a monthly basis, kind of a crime benchmark report that has the data behind it so that we can, you know, look for our individual districts to see, you know, what the issues are. And so the reports that you showed, if we can get that and the individual data that shows, you know, what issues have been opened in our district and then also resolved. And I was just, as you were talking, playing with the app a little bit, and I noticed where there are a number of items that have been acknowledged but not necessarily closed. And so I think it would be helpful, you know, to have an expectation on the period from acknowledgement to closure, you know, and then, you know, what defines closure, you know, not my job, call Kevin, you know, I mean, that's not closure, right? You know, and so, you know, having understanding of what those benchmarks for defining closure are would be helpful for citizens as they're looking at this app on a go-forward basis, because I think it's a great tool and it only can be more and more useful to our community.
Yeah.
Technically, we prefer if our staff doesn't close out the issue until the repair's either been done or if it was something that's not in their purview, that they acknowledge that it was sent to another agency before they close it out. So that's.
Yeah, but even if that's included in the status update, you know, I think that at least gives you something, you know, and then I assume, Kevin and the rest of the team, y'all are looking at that list and, you know, items that go, you know, for an extended period of time, they somehow go into a red category where you'll go back and give them special attention to resolve in one way or another.
We do have the ability with each request type, and I think it'd be best to talk about with individual departments about their workload and things, but we can put in assigned periods of time.
Yeah.
We haven't done that yet because we've been working through it in the early phases, but that is something that can be done and would be reflected in the reports too.
Because I think the collection of the data is only one part of it, right? It's what do you do with that information, and how does it, end in resolution? So, and then reporting that back so that there is, to your point, just the accountability factor associated with it.
Yeah, Chris and Jess, I noticed that you had Jeff Stevenson's, Tillison's name up there as a contact for something. However, I don't think that he's the one that we're supposed to contact. Are we supposed to go through Jay Squires, right?
Right, he is just the point of contact for the app. So when you submit believe all public works requests, they go to Jeff and then he routes them around to whatever department is necessary. And then he's communicating with the resident through the app.
But Jeff told me that I'm supposed to go through Jay.
Only through the app.
Only
through the app.
Yeah.
Only through the app.
Yeah, only the app.
Okay.
I just, to Jamie's statement, as far as reporting is concerned, because we get the police report, we get the fire report, department report at our neighborhood association meeting. Is it possible, maybe you can think about doing that for the associations, a neighborhood association?
Yeah, we can generate reports for anyone
who wants one, right?
And to that point in your marketing effort, your neighborhood associations can be a real tool, to help promote that. You may have mentioned that because I was playing with your app.
I'm always down to talk.
Yeah. Well,
okay, great.
But I would,
better representing it than I am.
yeah,
I
maybe
shared it
that's
with
something.
the Woodland Heights Neighborhood Association meeting. They were all excited about it.
Yeah, we did mention it, but we really need you.
And we've been slow in our marketing because we wanted to give our folks time to get used to this.
Right.
Like these videos and things, they're just now going to start going out, and we've already, I think about 125 issues have been resolved so far. So.
But maybe that's something you can work with Kathy and her team on communicating to the leadership of the association so they can use their social media platforms and, that kind of thing to expand that.
I think it's a great app, and again, just getting people pointed in the right direction, because we all get calls and we're trying to lead them. But yeah, I think it's a great app, great opportunity, and thanks for working and getting the kinks out of it before, we really market and put it all out. But 123, 125 to this point, that's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Reflection of Jess's work. I would be a terrible manager if I didn't point that out. She would be the hard work behind this.
Thank you. Item 11, consent agenda. A, an ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute an agreement for the transfer of scattered site properties located in the North Side neighborhood. Presenter, Mr. Martin Livingston. Consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Good to go, Mr. Livingston. Allocation of remaining ARP funding, Mr. Chris Story, city manager.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. We've reached this point in our discussions of the allocation of the remaining ARPA funds that we are seeking direction from you all tonight about that. I want to explain a few things that I believe you all are familiar with, but I will reiterate and ensure clarity for the public about what we're proposing, why, and how. There is a 5-page table that I will walk through, and to answer your questions and to go through this discussion, of course, there'll be other staff members to participate. Mitch, Dennis, Martin may all field questions. Kevin as well, as we go through these. The first 2 pages of the table reflect the allocations of the ARPA dollars that have been previously approved in prior votes of council. And those involve notably the Hello Family Initiative, resources to renovate and the fire department headquarters, police technology upgrades, funds for home ownership development, funds for affordable rental housing development, owner-occupied rehab program, enhancements to Duncan Park that are ongoing, and work on zoning ordinance and updates to our design guidelines. Those remain authorized by you. We are working on those, and those are being implemented in various stages. So I include those in the package just so the public sees the full allocation of the full allotment of the American Rescue Plan dollars. As you recall, the American Rescue Plan state and local governments fiscal recovery funds are focused on making investments that strengthen local economies in an equitable manner. There's a great deal of emphasis in the legislation on populations of need and neighborhoods of need, and that's reflected throughout and in the allocations and investments you've made today. There are, as the federal government went through the allocation process, the grant process, they created sort of a two-tiered structure for the use of the funds, and that is reflected in the third and fourth column of the table here. About $6.5 million of the combined total allocation is subject to full federal reporting and compliance guidelines, and that's a higher level of identification of beneficiaries, a higher level of scrutiny of and reporting on the nature of impact, and also those funds are required to be contracted by the end of this calendar year. Not necessarily expended, but under specific agreement to be executed. In other words, taken beyond merely allocating to a specific goal like affordable housing, but identified in a specific way it would be utilized for affordable housing, and have that by agreement, as an example. The second category, the larger sum, we will of course have full transparency on utilization, full financial reporting, but less federal scrutiny, more flexibility, both on the nature of the use and the timing of the use. So when you see dollars placed in the third column or the fourth column, that is based on how our perception of your priorities that align with the legislation match with those reporting criterion and tiers. If I've made that point clear, and I know that that's a little bit confusing, but our effort here is to show the full picture as best we can. So what we propose for the unallocated dollars are as follows, and this is a result of public input sessions that occurred a couple of years ago, of various, the implementation of our comp plan, that process, our consolidated plan, which deals with the allocation of other federal funds. All of that has fed into this discussion, and of course working off of what the federal government had said is the purposes of these dollars as well. So those specific use categories are a phase 2 investment in affordable housing programs to support home ownership development and rental housing development of $2.5 million. Implementation, thanks, Mitch is always a step ahead. Allocation to implementation of the Highland Transformation Plan of $1 million, $750,000 to work on our homelessness initiatives around preventing homelessness, serving the homeless, and housing currently homeless. $250,000 to do more intense economic and community development planning around our business corridors and potential activity that were identified in the comp plan. I want you to think in terms of detailed work on the corridors that feed in and out of downtown, and what we can do there. We think we can accelerate progress with some work there. What we call neighborhood enhancements is an allocation, proposed allocation of $1 million. That would be physical improvements or community-based, neighborhood-based grants and other programs to strengthen neighborhoods. $1 million of park improvements, $250,000 allocation to the Power Up Small and Minority Business Program, which city-based businesses and organizations have been very active within, and we want to continue that. And workforce development efforts focused on connecting our population, and particularly those in need, to employment opportunities and facilitating that transition. Proposed allocation of $500,000. So that brings us to, and I know this table is hard to read, so I collapsed some of the data into what I hope is a little bit easier to read. This is the table of what has been approved by prior votes of council, which is a little over $4 million, which is subject to full federal compliance and including the timing of contracting, more intense reporting on use, and $5.8 million that is subject to local reporting. And this is what is proposed for the currently unallocated amount of about $7,250,000 proposed for allocation, as you see there. So that's the summary. The additional information included in the table just is intended to help connect, will help you see how these investments could potentially leverage or connect to other investments, and how they connect to our comp plan priorities and how we see them fitting in strategically to the landscape and of all the many city needs and issues. What I think makes sense to do now is to see what questions you all have, and we'll have the appropriate member of our team attempt to answer those. And before doing that, I should probably clarify where we are in process. Of course, it would be in order for you all to say, this is not what we expect to happen, but it would be in order to say, staff, we love what you've put together and we're all in favor and great, let's go. But that's certainly not our expectation. It would certainly be in order for you to adjust amounts, add to, take away. We can also operate within a framework where tonight we get to go ahead for some aspects, but not others, and hold off for others to work on. The only thing that is pressuring us is the need to move from where we are today to formal contracting by the end of the calendar year on the $6+ million that is subject to the full federal reporting. That's their only time pressure.
Gotcha.
And so any of those options are available to the council.
Chris, I will kick this off. Just what you're planning with the corridor, and I'm sure that's roads up there, the $250,000, is that enough?
Well, that is related more to planning how we can go about those, doing some node planning and corridor planning. So think of that as first phase planning work. That's not going to implement any streetscaping projects or anything of that nature.
That's what I'm thinking, streetscaping
and a couple of areas that come to mind for that, and what we're trying to do there is there's some ambitions reflected in our comp plan. For example, the West or WAZL West Main Street. We've got some streetscape work happening there, but it won't, of course, address all needs there. So if we take the physical things and then connect them with some strategic and economic and community development planning, we might be able to add to that. There's also the South Church Street corridor, the Union Street corridor that are starting to see some change. John B. White is, there's some opportunities to accelerate what we're doing by overlaying some planning on what we already know.
Okay. All right. Questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Smith?
Several, but I guess the first one on the park improvements, that was one I was surprised to see on here, or at least the amount. On the table, it says for new park programming. We had a great presentation tonight by Kim and her team. Would we imagine this recommended $1 million to go toward youth and kid programming, or is this strictly like infrastructure upgrades?
So we have a couple areas of need. There are some existing playgrounds that need to be replaced as part of it. There's some existing maintenance issues that we have in our parks that requires us to first take care of our existing infrastructure. So that's part of the process. Kim has a detailed layout of those areas. Programming, there is a program element that we have been trending toward and looking at, and that's pickleball. We currently don't have pickleball programming the capabilities of structure, and that's something that data has been driving us with the use, and so that's an area of improvement that we're looking at within that. There are some additional requests around programming. So most of it is centered toward like capital improvements and infrastructure, but clearly there's an area for to invest in programming as well.
And that's indicative of a theme you'll see, particularly of those that are subject to local compliance, and that is if there is an amount that is endorsed by council, we can bring back different options within that, right, for your consideration. And so that would, think of that, for example, as a two-step process. If you said go with $1 million or some other amount, whatever you indicated, we would then come back to say we would recommend this particular improvement, this particular enhancement, and then that would give you a menu to choose from of how to implement that $1 million or whatever amount.
Which would allow us to provide more detail into those recommendations.
Yeah, I would be in favor of that approach as we go about this, to make sure that we have our hands on, every aspect of this spend, given its size.
Okay.
I just have one question now. Allocation has to be presented at the end of the year to the federal government. So if we keep coming back to the board each time, what is our time frame to come to a finalization?
Well, those that show up in the subject of federal compliance, what constitutes success there is a specified and contracted endeavor or amount there. And so for those, for the other column, we've got time. We can work those out for the other column. For that first column, we are actively working now to go from understanding of the subject matter area to specific projects in specific locations at specific times.
The only of that, there are the Power Up grant. We've heard a detailed report on that. That's very clear and precise. The homeless grant, we've heard that there's a comprehensive program that we would be providing. A lot of the essential services and where we would be self-performing, we can provide more detail to those elements. But those two that I referenced, there has been detailed presentations to council about those programs, and we have a report on the homeless initiative, and we have a report on Power Up that has been previously provided.
Can you remind us, Chris, the one that's under the federal compliance guidelines is the Affordable Housing Program Phase 2. Remind us who those partners are and what that work is imagined to be.
We are working with LISC and with Community Works to loans and grants to affordable housing and homeownership development projects and efforts. And they are actively soliciting proposals and working with partners to deploy those.
So this is essentially adding 2.5 million to the 1.25 we've already allocated to LISC for this.
Yes.
So it's nothing new, it's just filling the pot more.
Correct. And
Okay.
we have agreements being worked back and forth between staff that would meet that federal obligation.
Just a point of clarity, we allocated 2.5 to LISC. The additional 2.5 is to Community Works.
Okay.
Which is same structure, different agreement due to a different organization.
LISC was providing a dollar-to-dollar match on those funds. Is Community Works doing the same?
Correct. Martin can address that more directly.
Okay. Okay.
And,
Good, Rob.
follow up there, you mentioned loans and grants. How is that allocated between loans and grants, and how is that administered with, I guess this is the Community Works piece, so with Community Works?
We are working with them to develop detail on that, and can bring the specifics of the agreements that are in draft form to you that would spell those things out. Any other comments you want to add to that?
Yeah, the ARPA requirements is very specific on what we can do in terms of loans and grants. And so we're trying to make sure that those are accurate as much as possible. We see an opportunity for loans for restrictive covenants that are 20 years or more. Anything less than that typically is a grant, depending on what the project is involved in. Homeownership will probably end up being a grant, even though we may have like 20-year affordability. Because we're now asking for repayments, we're restructuring those deals so that we can have long-term affordability for the homeownership as well as for the rental developments. And then closing cost assistance, same thing. We're doing that with Community Works. We're providing 3 programs under Community Works that they have assisted us in the past.
Yeah, Martin, neighborhood enhancement, would you kind of clarify, what does that cover, give an example?
So what we have, if we can go back a couple slides, Chris. We break it down in 3 areas of opportunities for us to invest in. Right there, we believe what we've heard from you all, what we've heard from our constituents is the need for neighborhoods to specifically prioritize investments. And so we have had neighborhood grants previously through Martin's office, and how we supported requests to the neighborhoods that they drive, they control. So reestablishing that program to allow neighborhoods to drive through a structured grant program that we would revise, that will allow them to request community gardens, community improvement projects would be examples of that. Public right-of-way improvements, we are aware, we have a long list of sidewalk improvements, a long list of requests for sidewalks that we already have, landscaping opportunities that we already have that we've been keeping track of, that we would prioritize those dollars for that. And the last area is, one other area, traffic calming. We've heard from you all about revisiting our traffic calming program to move beyond just speed humps, how we do that, working with our local consultant regarding those areas of improvement. And then lastly, we have had a strong track record of how we invest in community-based leadership, where we support individuals to go through trainings and processes. The Northside Barge is an example. What we're doing in Highland is an example. We believe that there's an opportunity to expand that to other neighborhoods.
Given that there are a lot of lanes in that subject matter, is $1 million enough? I mean, I can see each one of those taking a big chunk of $1 million in a hurry.
Traffic calming.
Yeah, sidewalk improvements. That's an ambitious list of things, and particularly given that that's a function that government and government alone is responsible for.
I don't know if you're, so, I mean, my answer is, there's probably 10 other things that we can add to that. So we're never gonna have enough funding to address what some of our challenges are, particularly with a high area of poverty in our community. But we could come back, and this is an area where we come back with more structure around what the neighborhood grant program, what those eligible activities would be. We have data that can drive some of the thinking that we have about public right-of-way improvements. Clearly, there are costs that we previously received around the traffic calming that we can drive from that cost. And so these are areas that we have heard from, that we've seen, that we're already investing in, is an opportunity to invest more in what we've already been doing.
Mitch, what did we pay for the Highland Leadership Group? Did we sub-grant that out to the county foundation?
The initial phase of that was $80,000 for that community cohort. We were able to leverage that, and we're getting an additional, I think, $18,000 through the Spartanburg academic move. Cost is not a recurring cost. That was the beginning of it. But that neighborhood alone, annual cost is somewhere between $30,000 to $40,000 a year.
So
in addition to that, I apologize. In addition to that, we have been, for almost 20 years, a supporter of grassroots leadership development. Through general funds, we've appropriated $10,000 a year for that program.
So if we were to think of bringing new neighborhoods in, we could anticipate that cost being around $100,000 as a startup.
Depending on the size of the cohort and what is impactful, I would say somewhere around $50,000 to $75,000 a year.
Chris, well, remind me, I haven't all my notes written on the one you sent us in advance of this meeting, and of course I left it in the office. Remind me, what was the original ARPA grant given to the city?
16,480 says Dennis.
So going through, if my math is right, going through the process that we've gone through, judiciously working through these line items, the value of that account has grown by, $600,000-700,000.
Yes, sir.
So that has given us more buying power, if you will. And then I think I asked for this column, and I'm glad you put it in, column 5, that shows leveraging opportunities, and some of it is a bit opaque, but if I do my math right, that 16 or what's now $17.1 million of ARPA investment is leveraged by what could be up to another $23 million. Is that roughly your expectation?
Yes, sir. And of course, we'll continue to go further as best we can, on each investment. But that is an important lens to see this through, because we don't expect to receive this level of federal funding on a recurring basis.
You didn't capture the Hello Family. You can speak to the leveraging of that. That is not even accounted for.
Right, and that's why it was hard to get to a number. But I think the number I wrote was about 23 million, if I'm not. But it might be good to come back and provide the accurate number.
Yeah. I mean, the direct on Hello Family, direct leveraging was 8.5 million at day one. So
that's
29 investment.
29 million then, 29 and a half.
I don't think that there are numbers in we talked extensively about our opportunity to be the initiator of financial support for our homeless effort, being that we're in that space. Numbers are not captured there, but there are ample opportunities through capacity building, draw down additional funding. We're not touching the federal funds that comes through the upstate. We're not touching it due to capacity. We believe this initiative gives us unique capacity. We're getting less than 3% of those funds. We're the second largest county. Those numbers are not captured in there. The opportunity to leverage through that gives us greater opportunity to leverage that 750,000.
To Jamie's question about is $1 million enough? I mean,
that's difficult to answer.
Well, right, and I'm not even posing that. Like, we could always use a whole lot more for all of them. But for the planning, the corridor and nodes, the neighborhood enhancements line, and the park improvements, I mean, that's $2.25 million that are under essential services. If we were to approve that, would we then have some flexibility on the funds if we do see that we needed more than $1 million for neighborhood enhancements? Because those are internal to us, we can move some of those around?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and that's where we're talking that we have direct oversight, making sure everything comes through council as it is being presented. So that makes, I know the council feel better about the allocation there.
Well, we own that responsibility.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think that's our job.
Well, I mean, with that flexibility, I'm good with this table and these recommendations. I don't know if you're looking for a vote or just a verbal.
Yeah, they are looking for a vote. I just want to make sure we still, yeah, Rob?
Yeah.
I think the point's well made that, you know, a lot of these we can move it around. The only one we can't is the 2.5 million Community Works. How did we land on that? I know we did. We already approved the 2.5 million previously for LISC. You know, that's been voted for. How did we get to the 2.5 again?
In the literal sense, just through a discussion of staff about what, you know, affordable housing is so expensive and gotten so expensive, that we really feel a great sense of pressure and to capture this window, because our community is growing. You know, we're seeing an influx of residents that I think the most candid response, Councilman, is we think we need that level of investment to make a dent in the problem. Now, I'm not sure that we're not sure that enough projects will emerge on the timeline we need them to emerge to deploy it all. And there are things beyond that that we don't control. You know, things about, you know, we still, even if we are making grants or loans into an affordable housing project, there are another set of ingredients that has to be there. You know, we've in Community Works and LISC, we have good community partners, but you also have to have a developer who has a site, who has the wherewithal to execute on the timeline you need. You know, so there's other ingredients that are beyond our control, but these dollars fill gaps in pro formas that don't pencil and are getting harder to pencil by the day, right? So it's a scale question and a depth of impact question, but it fundamentally rests with you guys to decide just how deep you want to go into any of these priority areas. I would say, just to give you a sense, and we've had some prior discussion along these lines, to make, on the home ownership side, to make a new home available to a 80% AMI household. That's a household with an earning of about 80% of the area median income. The gap between the ingredients it takes to do that, the construction of the house, identification of the lot, excuse me, and what that household can afford to mortgage is at least $50,000 a unit, probably about $75,000 a unit. On the affordable rental side, you know, there's not a lot of cost difference between a quote unquote constructing a market rate apartment and constructing an affordable apartment. Let's say they're in the context of apartment developments. There is a difference because the sites tend to have a difference and the level of finishes tend to have a difference. But collectively, those are not a huge percentage. As you know about real estate, economic development, finance better than I, that's not a huge piece of the stack there. What happens is, when you constrain the rents to an 80% tenant and below, as we're trying to do to meet the affordability gap, you get a gap per door, per unit, of about the same on the rental side, a substantial gap per unit. So these sound like big sums, and and they are big sums, but when you allocate them to doorways, the numbers aren't nearly as great. And you certainly
Well,
amend that.
one other piece, you talked about leveraging. Martin can speak to this much better than I, but our dollars is less than 20% of total development costs. So the leveraging of this is 3 to 5 times of it. So you're talking about the ability to do 1-for-1 with these organizations. So that $5 million total turns into $10 million. That $10 million represent less than 20% of total development costs. I'm not good at math, but that's like $50 million of total development. It's the largest single sum of funding that we've ever invested in affordable housing. So the leveraging opportunities and the total impact is huge. In addition to that, we own a lot of land that we're prioritizing in this that won't cost to developers. So the impact is even greater.
Chris, you said something I just want to make sure I'm clear on. So the money that we've contracted with LISC and the money that we're contemplating with Community Works, that money, once it's contracted, it's safe from a, I mean, they have that money for how long of a period of time to deploy? And is there a risk of losing it if they're unable to deploy it within that time frame?
There's not if it's appropriately contracted, and that's why we're working so carefully through this process, there's not a risk of it going back to Washington.
Right.
There is a risk in it taking longer to be in new addresses than we would hope. There is a risk that it takes longer to actually result in construction or acquisition of affordable units. But there's not a risk of it going back to Washington.
It doesn't go away, and it then alleviates the pressure of us on our annual budget or any other source for designated funds for housing affordability.
That's correct. We're going to continue to chase every other fund source we can. Historically, we haven't invested in affordable housing. We've gotten the federal funds, the home funds, and the CDBG funds we've used for a number of affordable housing endeavors over time. And then we effectively swap some land for a capitalization of a housing fund that Community Works has leveraged into 3 different projects already. But we haven't had a recurring general fund allocation toward affordable housing to date, and that would be really difficult given our budget constraints right now.
So going forward, future CBDG grants could be used in other ways?
It would certainly create more flexibility, yes. If we had a full pipeline of affordable housing developments, we would have flexibility to do other things with home and CDBG.
Anything else? Any other questions? Just understanding as we move forward, and we are needing to get a motion on this to move forward. We still have some oversight to the money we are allocating. I do hear a little concern with the 2.5, but in essence, Chris, if I'm hearing, and to reiterate with Jamie, we won't lose it. It just may take longer to use it, basically.
Yes, in my opinion, that's the fundamental risk we run with the affordable housing questions, is that we don't risk Washington taking the dollars back.
Right.
We risk me coming back to this microphone saying, well, we didn't get as many units built in 1 year as we would like, so it's going to take longer to get all those units built because of the fact that we have to have qualifying development projects line up and that kind of thing. So that, yes, sir, that is the primary risk, is the time it would take to get families into those new units built and families into
them.
And it's, I guess we're not going to get any approval rights on whether the structure of the grant or the loan or how those funds are awarded to projects. That's all through Community Works.
It comes back.
It is, if it's in the if it's in the left-hand column, the full federal oversight column.
Yeah, which all of that is.
Which all of this is, then the federal government says there are limits on the loans, there are limits on the ways you can structure the loans or grants. But on a project-by-project basis, you guys get to sign off on them. The Community Works and LISC bring them back to us and say, are you guys comfortable with 100 of this type of units in this location? And then we would lay out for you.
And they would say that we're recommending giving XYZ developer this grant to get the project going?
Right, and that's the legwork that Community Works and LISC would do, but it would come to you guys for final
Or loan
endorsement.
or whatever. Okay.
And when we look at those, going forward, we include what, to the point we were making or talking about earlier, Mitch, the leverage there, the leverage ratio in those dollars, because I think that's always going to be important. If you spend, dollars in the city.
With that, I make a motion that we adopt the ARPA funding strategies as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Great job, guys. Thank you, staff, for the hard work. Mr. Story, City Manager, staff updates.
No major updates, Mr. Mayor. We are continuing to move forward on the facility planning work. All city departments met with architects independently with about specific needs for their departments as it relates to the new building. That work is beginning to take shape. They even gave us some what I call paper doll exercises to do to arrange things and think carefully about programming and growth rates. And so that is moving, and it's an exciting project for our team to envision that new structure and that new working environment. And in the meantime, we're seeing great progress in the downtown projects, as you see if you ride through downtown. So continue to be excited about how things are going. On the capital project front, we opened bids last week on the first phase of the West Main streetscaping, and they came in good order. So that project will go to, the physical work will begin on that soon, and so we're excited about that. But certainly welcome any questions that you have.
Chris, well, I'm going to bring up something kind of touchy here, but trees in the South Converse neighborhood. I know that this is not a city problem. However, I don't know if there's some type of policy that, we can put in place, for the landlords that have properties and they are renting them out because they're getting their money, but trees are falling down, and four have fallen down in the South Converse neighborhood in less than 45 days, because the first one caused 2 homes to be condemned on Windsmith Street, and then the second one, it fell in my yard, because we paid for that one because I didn't know that it was rotten, because it fell down, but it didn't cause any damage to anybody's property but mine. And then the third one fell on Duncan Street, no damage there. The fourth one fell on South Converse Street last week at the corner of South Converse Street and Windsmith, that caused 600 homes, more than 600 homes in that neighborhood going to be without electricity for more than 10 hours. And I know as I walk through that neighborhood and I see all of these dead trees, some of them I am afraid to walk along that route, and there's one that is on Gamarin Avenue that's right on the walkway there. I'm concerned for people that are walking along there, and I'm wondering, is there some type of notification that we can send to the owners who know that these trees gonna need to come down, and they are collecting their rent, but they will not come out and remove these dead trees? Is there something that the city can do about this?
I would like to do a little research before I say too much, but I can tell you with confidence that if it's believed to cause a threat, if anyone believes that there is a safety concern associated with a particular tree, providing notice to the property owner is a logical and correct next step to do that. But Bob and I will do some additional research on what the city's latitude may be. I mean, obviously, if a dangerous circumstance is in the public right of way, we address those routinely. But if it's not within the public right of way, I'll have to do a little research to figure out where the right landing spot is there.
I can take you to at least a couple that's a public right of way.
Just use that.
I already made a comment, already made a couple comments at this meeting.
Awesome.
Submitted some
Thank you.
request.
Thank you, Ruth. City council update. Start with Councilwoman Smith.
Yeah, not much tonight. Just want to congratulate Jay Van. He mentioned how he's been the SRO of some of the children of students he had. I am one of those. He was my SRO at Dorman, and now my sons are there, so he's been a fixture in our family's educational journey for a long time. I regret that we don't have one of our police officers there now at Dorman. I think it's really important to have, they have county SROs there, and of course that's good, but I think as we have a lot of kids who live in the city, it's important to have our police presence there, so I'd love to see us work on that. Y'all already mentioned some of the things I was gonna say about the pool and remembering that vote and the Olympics. My favorite commercials have been the ones when someone wins gold, they then show the videos of that child when they were first starting out in their sport. So who knows, we might have a Olympic gold medalist one day with videos of Dr. T.K. Gregg Poole. So I just love seeing the investments that we as a city make in our people through infrastructure and through programming. So really proud of who we are.
Awesome. Councilman Foreman.
Mr. Mayor, I want to echo the congratulatory comments to MPO King and Lieutenant Smith. As Councilwoman Smith was commenting as those presentations were going on, MPO King started at Dorman, or with the city, the year she was born. Lieutenant Smith started with the city when she was 10, and when she was born, Miss Hazel from the fashion show was 60. It's always good to put that in proper perspective.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah. But I do, fishing's back at Duncan Park, fishing and boating. One of my sons went fishing there last week. Didn't catch anything. He was a little disappointed, but it was great to have that back. And hopefully, I meant to ask in the updates to get an update. Maybe we can get it next week or next meeting about, how that's going so far and if there are any learnings from that and community acceptance. And then as we've been talking about this app and all these reporting of information, I do want to commend our Public Works group. Last week was a tough week for them. There was a lot of damage, as Ruth has pointed out. I think the storm kind of hit us a lot harder than any of us expected based on the weather reports. So they did a tremendous job of getting that dealt with, and so really appreciate their efforts.
Good. Councilwoman Brown.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to echo the congratulations for retirees, MPO King and Lieutenant Smith, and want to wish all of our students and teachers a welcome back to school. Hope you all have a healthy and safe school year.
Awesome. Before I skip down to Councilman Rain, I do want to acknowledge Representative Rosalind Henderson Myers in the back. and give her a congratulations on Dr. Representative Rosalind Henderson Myers. So congratulations on your doctoral degree, Rosalind. So good. Just wanted to give that
Just
out.
wanted to say that to beat me.
I figured one of you may say it on this side, so I wanted to make sure it came from the mayor. I've congratulated her already, but I wanted to do it here officially. Councilman Rain.
As Erica said, it's the first day of school, so I got to get home to see the 3 students I dropped off this morning. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
2 minutes, Ruth.
Well, I'm going to take your 2 minutes. I want to congratulate Kathy McCade, the former city attorney, Dr. Marshall Garrett, and Savannah Ray on becoming the Girl Scouts Boots and Pearls new nominees, and honorees, and they will be recognized on October the 17th at the AC Hotel this time, because we're going up class. So I will let you know at the next meeting, the cost of the tickets for getting in. All of that will be finalized at our next meeting, and I'll let you know that. And then I want to congratulate my soror, my neighbor, my constituent, Dr. Attorney, Representative Rosalind Henderson Myers. Congratulations here. And then I want to congratulate Harold Mitchell. I see that he's not here. He sends me all this stuff that he is doing in Washington, D.C. I know he's doing great things. I want him to bring more money to Spartanburg. That's what I've got to do, to send more money to Spartanburg. And then I don't want to say great, but I am a great-great-grandma.
Ah, awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, I have another son, because we're not getting any boys. The girls is all boys.
All boys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations, Ruth.
Thank
Councilwoman
you.
Sally, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I want to say that I had the opportunity and the pleasure of celebrating one of our own business person in Spartanburg who's been here for a long time serving through transportation, and that is Mr. Charles Atchison, who's celebrated his 95th birthday, and it was a wonderful occasion. Also had the opportunity to tour the new courthouse. Love it. If you haven't been, you need to go. Last but not least, I have an announcement. The Plansky Art Show is going to be presented at the Coldwell Banker Kane building starting August the 22nd for the public. It's 900 pieces that they are willing to share, and hopefully your pocketbook's along and you can purchase some. That's it. Thank you for coming.
Good. Thank you. I was unable to make the 95th birthday on August the 3rd for Mr. Charles Atchison, but I do want to say happy birthday, happy belated Mr. Atchison as well. Thank you for going and representing. Thanks, staff, Mitch Kennedy for being there as well. Had a bunch to go on these last several weeks. We've had 3 weeks in between the last meeting. Can't recall all of them, and just thinking about Rob having to go home to see his little ones to bed, who will be getting up in the morning for school. Just be mindful as we drive on our roads early morning, as we get out around town, that we do have little ones getting on buses, walking to school. Just be careful. Keep an extra eye out. And over at Spartanburg High School, we'll try to keep those little former boys together, as I ran into one, the last one coming through. But this just awesome, man. We were at, I'm gonna give you this and we'll go. We were at the QL back-to-school rally at Dr. T.K. Gregg on yesterday, and Shay left earlier. Shay's an assistant principal at Spartanburg High School, but she, of course, started as a school teacher. And I mean, she was just right there with the little ones. I used to say back in the day, playing football, August, you can smell it in the grass, it's football season. But for teachers and people in education, as I look at Miss Reader, August is also back to school. You know, you can smell it in the air. So be thankful and praying for our school system around here in Spartanburg District, all of them. Thank you, thank you. Do I hear a recommendation for an adjournment?
Make a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Let's go home, go home, go home. Enjoy it. Thank you all. Kim.
I guess go with.